first step to installing a new chain is going to be to remove your old chain by pushing one of the pins and discard the old chain. From there, I like to shift the front derailleur up to the big ring position and then drop the rear derailleur down to one of the smaller cog positions. At this point, you can take your chain, and then I like to just loop it over the two biggest gear combinations there, so your large cog in your back and the front chain ring, the big ring in the front there. It's really the same with any bicycle, but you want to basically get to where the chain touches and have 1 to 2 inches of overlap. Somewhere within that range is where you're going to cut your chain, and that's going to ensure you're going to have enough length to go through all the gears, and your derailleur is going to tension the chain correctly. This particular setup, we're using a little power link connector chain link there that comes with the KMCs and SRAM chains. So basically we'll drop it down to the small cog. You can shift the front ring if you want up to the smaller gears, but you want to make sure you get it through the rear derailleur pulleys there correctly, because that's can definitely be an issue. Once you get your little connector link there, usually I'll connect it here on the bottom where you can pull on the chain and then rotate around to the top, and sometimes you have to put some pressure on it to lock the link into place there. If you're new to putting chains on, you want to make sure after you get it on there that it will actually go to the big cog in the rear and the big ring combination in the front, although you really don't want to ride in this gear combination. And same thing with the small cog and small chain ring up front. You want to make sure that it will physically go in that combination and still have some the spring in the rear derailleur has some tension there on the chain where it's not sagging down or anything. One issue we had with putting this new chain on this particular bike, once I took it out and test rode it, the rear cassette was worn out, and once we torqued down on the pedals, the chain slipped over the rear cogs there. This is an example here of a worn out cassette cog, and you can see once putting a new chain section over it there how loosely it fits over. It doesn't quite want to mesh up into the teeth there, but typically you can tell just by going out and putting some pressure on the pedals, and the chain will want to slip over the cog. If that's the case, you need to replace your cassette as well. Another confusion potential issue is with the Shimano 10-speed chain. You can see on this side of the chain there's holes on both inner and outer plates, and on this side of the chain the inner plates have holes and the outer plates are solid with the text on them. The text always needs to face to the outside of the bicycle. When you pushing a pin into a Shimano chain, you always want the leading edge seen in figure A there of this little diagram, and here as well the leading edge of the chain, so the direction of this chain would be moving from right to left. That's the side where you would want to push your pin into the chain there to hold it together. Putting these little Shimano pins in, it's a good idea to put a little grease or something on the pin to kind of help it go through a little easier, but typically I'll push it in as far as I can get it hit there just with my fingers, and then you'll just take your chain tool, a good chain tool, and press it in basically till it's flush. Normally you can kind of just go by feel. It normally gets hard, then easy, then right when it starts to get hard again, it's usually in there as far as you want to go. You're going to be careful not to push it too far. Once it's flush, you'll break the other pin off, the little guide pin there, and sometimes you have to work the chain side to side to get any of the kinks out there, so you want it to be work nice and freely there before you go out and ride it, or it'll skip over the cogs as well. Yeah, that concludes this tutorial. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking that